I remember, again, at the time of my life when I saw this film for the first time in theaters, I bought my ticket. I just remember seeing your relationship, your marriage, and I thought it was portrayed in such a complex way, and I hadn't seen that. And I think there's something about the role you play in this film that stands outside of what the other characters are going through. Just speak to me about, how the script came to you and what you felt like you saw yourself in it.
Quickly, yes, I do have a story I just shared with Larenz about. Oh, thank you. About that scene. I don't know if he knew that story. I'll share it. But before that, I trusted Robbie Reed because I wouldn't be here if it were not for Robbie Reed. I got my first audition for Crooklyn, which was absolutely horrible. I think I scared everybody in the room. And I beat myself all the way back to Brooklyn because I knew I wasn't going to get that job. But whatever Robbie did, thank you, Robbie. Thank you. So I knew from that point that if I couldn't get page 13 in a script, that it probably wouldn't be something that I would want to do and be proud of for the rest of my life. Unfortunately, being African American, I got the nerve to be picky about, on top of everything, how hard it is to get a job. But
Tell me about it.
I got the nerve to feel like if my children would see my work one day, how would they feel? And my 18-year-old and my 12-year-old daughter and my 15-year-old son, who were not born before this movie is made, the biggest regret I have in this film is when the character Savant's wife comes home, and because I wasn't a father then, and I desperately wanted to be, all I could do was just rub the top of his head.
Wait, let me Isaiah, you know who else gave me that criticism? It was Spike. Spike said to me, he said, you fucked up that scene.
I think we did.
And I said,
can we reshoot that?
I said, what do you mean? Because I thought Isaiah was fantastic in that moment when he comes
with the wife,
close up, and he goes, no. A father would have gone to his kid first before his wife. Now, I don't have any kids. You didn't have any kids. Nobody knew.
If I would have been on set, I would have.
So he had pointed that out to me, and so I'm glad that you and I both recognized that we kind of we missed it right there.
Yeah. The other scene where we ad-lib that hopping, skipping, jumping, tell me how to stay in the relate. Well, I'm put my wife, I'm embarrass her a little bit, but my wife and I just got married. February of '96, pretty much. We were doing the film, I think January or a little bit later. We just got married. And we were still trying to figure out that scene. I really understood that power play. Like, I'm going to pretend that I'm a man. I'm not going to be upset about this. And we had this big argument, which wasn't as big as I think about it. Also, Jeremiah Samuel's always trying to cut my hair, too. He came in my trailer with some clippers. He was the one to cut my hair. But those two stresses created that scene with you. And I remember the face that Larenz was like, dude, this is not the script. But you look like you need a hug. I don't know where I went. It's like and another thing, since we're here, and it was, thank you for holding me down, Larenz. It's like, I don't know what that was. I don't think that's gonna make the movie, but you need a hug.
My pleasure. Yeah, you need a hug. I'm gonna give you a hug later.
So that's my story back.
All love.
If I may, real quick.
That's Leonard Roberts.
Hit this
That's Leonard Roberts. One time for Leonard Roberts.
I had no career when this came to me. I was fresh out of drama school. I was working one of my very first jobs in Toronto, and my agent at the time called me up and he said, Leonard, Jane Alderman wants you to come in to meet this guy, Ted Witcher. And he's got this story, and I gave it a read through. I breezed through it, and he starts talking about it, and he's just like, well, it's go, you read it and let me know what you think. And I read this thing, I said, dude, I'm in. Where is this guy? Like, I want to meet him. And he's like, I mean, really? He's like, I mean, I think it's, and I was like, dude, you don't think anything beyond your prism as a middle-aged white guy. Because you've seen every incarnation of the romantic comedy from Annie Hall to Sleepless in Seattle and everything in between. But if you're 22 and you're black and you're going out to see a movie with your friends, you haven't seen a movie in 1996 where somebody hasn't died at the end.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
So for that alone, I was down.
Yes.
And all these people were like starting to become heroes of mine. Isaiah was the first person I saw on stage when I started drama school. Bill was the first comic I saw on stage in St. Louis. Def Comedy Jam came through. I remember going to see Menace, and the theater in Chicago was like deathly silent. And it's just like, it was a blessing beyond blessings to be a part of this. I would have done the catering on this thing.
The catering was amazing.
Yes.
Well,
You're welcome.
I'm actually curious about Mr. Bellamy. How did Bill Bellamy come to be in the film? Because, man, again, talk about seeing somebody in a whole new light, man. It was just a beautiful performance.
It was interesting because at that time, I had just bust on the scene. I was on fire as a stand-up comic. You know what I mean? I had HBO under my belt. I was on MTV. And my personality is more fun, and And Ted was like, "I love you in your real life, but Hollywood, that's a motherfucker, man. you gotta be able to flip that shit." And I was like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, Hollywood is a hater." And I was like, "I can hate." and I mean, me and Ted, I remember this. You remember this conversation? Yeah. He's like, "B, people ain't gonna like you. They like you after this movie. You gonna have a problem." And I had a problem. Women were coming up to me. You know what? I swear to God. I don't know if you Hollywood or Bill, but both of y'all can kiss my ass like.
Now, Bernadette.
That was about 6 years in a row, too. I was like, it's a movie.
So Bernadette, did you have the chemistry read with Bill? Because I feel like the two of these characters are kind of like they're in all these scenes together diametrically opposed.
It was just amazing. I don't know how we did it.
Y'all were ad-libbing, right?
But, tribute to Ted. We actually worked together on a master's, a young lady's master's piece, and he was the quietest guy on the set, but he was the only guy that had a job, like after we were all done. And to walk into the audition, they didn't tell me who this movie was or what it was about or anything. And I walk in and I'm like, "Oh my God, I know you, hi." And it was, so that alone like kind of made me go and breathe. And then my character wasn't even written when I auditioned. He was like, "Okay, so you need to improv." And I was like, "Improv what?" "I'm going to give you the scene." And he gave me the scene, and it was actually for, I realized it was for Isaiah's scene with his wife that we improv'd. And so I had 4 auditions. This dude made me audition 4 times. He did. And what was cool, though, was that my last audition, he had me come in to do an African dance.
Oh my God, you were so amazing.
I thought that was impromptu.
I was like, "Really?" And he was like, "Yeah." So I came in, no shoes on, African pants, had my routine down, had my camera, my boom box, and Sean was in the room, and a couple other people were in the room, and did my dance. And he was like, "I knew you was gonna bring it."
Well, it's interesting because my idea for that scene was that Sheila just sort of impromptu stands up and starts dancing. Like it wasn't meant to be good. It was meant to just be something somebody did at a party who's had a couple glasses of wine. So somehow Jane read the script and put it in the breakdown, like must be able to do Bantu dance from the... So she comes in and she can actually do it, like for real, which was not my idea. But I was like, well, she's so good, like we should just put her in the movie. And so the thing in the movie became much better than it actually was intended to be because you can actually dance.
Way to
So there you
go.
go. But let me just say this about quickly about the cast. The challenge with this kind of, other than the principles, the challenge with this kind of movie, filling out the other parts, is that the movie isn't really a plot-driven kind of movie, so you're not looking for the the guy to play the police chief, and the guy who plays the the doctor who fixes the thing, and the CIA director comes in. You're basically trying to fill out some colors so that you can manipulate the mood and the vibe of the thing as it's going on, because it's not really a plot-driven or even a strongly narrative piece, really, right? So you get a color. So I'm like, I got Bill. Okay, what's going to go with that color? I got an Isaiah. Okay, well, I need somebody younger, maybe. I need Len. You know what I mean? And you put it together like a painter would. You put one color down, you put another color. You're like, oh, let me flip that. That's how you do this kind of movie. And that's why it's such a crapshoot and why I got so lucky with this particular group.